The new update for our superhero mod, Arzee's Multiverse, is releasing now with epic new features like an updated arrow system, telekinesis, stabilized breaches, new Velocity 9 changes, and so much more. If this is your first time seeing our Palladium content, make sure to check out the initial release video first at the top corner of your screen. Now, let's get into these changes. By far, the biggest change from this update is the Iron Prism rework, which Hertz completely overhauled. Just by looking at it from a distance, you can already notice some big changes. The first being that the Vibranium sword is now an actual held item. The second being the gauntlet for the arrows. And all the different trick arrows now come out of this gauntlet on his arm. Just like before, you can pull the sword out of your chest, but instead of immediately activating, you essentially get the handle, which you can then activate by shift and right clicking. It is also now compatible with better combat. And it has that awesome spin to it. This makes his combat so much better. But the biggest change is definitely the actual arrow system.
So you're going to want to start with loading in arrows, which you could do with your last ability. If you hold shift, you'll also be able to remove the arrows. But by default, just pressing your fifth ability will allow you to load arrows into your suit. You can hold a maximum of 32 of each arrow type in your suit. And do you also want to load in these new secret special arrows we have? You can press and hold your first ability and use the mouse scroll wheel to switch which arrow you currently have selected. It'll bring up a nice little GUI on the left side of your screen where you can see all of the arrow icons alongside a little icon of what their ability is.
You did an amazing job with this. It's so much easier to see not only all your arrow types, but which arrow you're on.
I'm actually really happy with how this came out. It looks incredible.
And what's even better is the detail you added on the gauntlets, which you can see actually in the gauntlet which arrow type you have equipped. Another thing too is how much faster it shoots than it did before. So by pressing the second ability, if you remember, you can aim. You can actually shoot faster than they can register. A lot of the arrows are just improved in general. For example, the explosive one actually immediately explodes on impact, which I don't believe it did before.
Notable improvements are the healing arrow. For some reason, it wasn't working. I have no idea why, but that's been fixed, so now everyone in the range gets regeneration.
Very nice.
The Ender Pearl arrow is also switched, or it's also functional now. Sometimes it would break, but...
Something about the gauntlet makes it so much more satisfying to use, too.
It's the clicks, I'm telling you. It is 10,000% the clicking. I think we've had enough out of you, bud.
I've been dampened by a dampening arrow.
You can't fly out of here, buddy.
No, I can't.
Finishing touches.
Nope. Oh! Hertz just hit me with 2 of the new arrow types. First one being the dampening arrow. The dampening arrow gives you all of the main dampening effects when you hit somebody with it. For a minute? Oh shoot, I thought it was like 15 seconds.
The good thing is though, this blade doesn't care about dampening.
Right, which is another new change. The last arrow is the Essentium arrow.
Oh, mysterious.
Should we see how much damage this does to a normal dummy?
Oh, now you want to use the dummies. Yeah, go for it.
20 damage. But that would kill me in 3 arrows. That's because it's made of a extremely hard to obtain material that we don't actually have in the mod yet. That is Essentium, which you guys will be learning a lot more about in the upcoming season of the SMP.
With Iron Prism, all of your arrows are actually stored inside the chest plate. So when you take off the chest plate, if I give it to you should be able to see in your inventory every single arrow in there.
Also added in the last update, but also more in this update, the ability to toggle hair on suits. So on certain suits, if you do /toggle hair, you'll then get like their alt versions. And in this one, it's Iron Prism's hair sticking out the top of his head. The next big changes are for Phantom Knight's Umbrakinesis. You'll notice that the Phantom Knight beam actually does quite a bit less than it did before, but that's because now it will no longer be used mainly for damage and instead will have quite a bit of extra knockback functionality that the first one did not have.
The cool thing is you could also kind of make it like a forced chokehold. It's like jump real quick. Yeah, if you time it right, you can just keep them there.
I actually didn't know that.
No, it's incredible. It was a little bit of a bug that I'm just spinning into a feature because it's just actually really
That is amazing. To make up for it, his ranged attack with the sword now does more damage instead. 11?
It is actually crazy. I can always change the numbers if you need.
Yeah, I think we just tweaked that down just slightly. Like it should do more than it did before. I think it did 7. Now it should do probably like 8 or 8.5. Another thing that's different about Phantom Knight is his regeneration. Phantom Knight now regenerates in low light levels and inside his new and improved Shadow Dome. So now, once I start to get low, if I put up the Shadow Dome with the third ability, you'll notice that Phantom Knight starts regenning at regen 3, which is super useful. But to make up for it, the Shadow Dome itself has been nerfed slightly and lasts for a lot less time. It also has a bit of a cooldown on it, which it didn't have before. That's kind of two trade-offs. You'll also notice, as the final change, and definitely the biggest, is Phantom Knight has his telekinesis back that he had in Fisk. It is used with the last ability, and can only be used on the suit I'm currently wearing, the Season 2 suit. It is not on the Season 1 suit. And by holding that last ability, you can use telekinesis like this. And although it doesn't have the scroll like it did in Fisk, it actually has, like, in my opinion, a much better control. Another thing that the telekinesis has to not make it busted is a chance for you to lose your grip when taking damage. And there it is. What's the percent chance, by the way? I forget.
45.
You did a great job with the telekinesis, by the way. Like, it looks really good. Next, let's talk about a couple big changes to the speedsters. So the first big change we're going to talk about is the tornado arms. The tornado arms on speedsters now put out both types of flames. So if I do my tornado arms, instantly, it puts it out. This is going to be incredibly useful for saving civilians and stopping burning buildings.
Oh, I'm on fire.
Or people that are on fire. The next big change to the speedsters is the wall running. Now I think it's significantly better. It still scales with the speed level that you're at, but it's a little bit more, usable. Like now at a level 3, it goes a little bit higher than it did before. And if I turn it up to 9, now I go quite a bit higher. So now it's just a little bit more, it's a little bit easier to use. Yeah, sometimes you go a little bit too far, but it's better than not being able to go up the block at a good pace at all. Along with the change to the general speedster, we also have a change to the Tachyon speedster, and that is the way the shield works. We added the ability to disable the Tachyon speedburst shield with different types of weapons. So Hertz, you want to demonstrate that for us?
Yeah, with my totally cannon powers vested in me.
Oh, I wasn't blocking it. There we go. So as you'll see at the bottom, depending on what weapon it is, the weapons have a chance to disable the shield. Since Stormbreaker is super powerful, it's a pretty high chance. All right, that one disabled. I swear, eventually it'll not disable. My luck is just terrible. Bro, this game hates me. This has to be a joke.
Oh, Stormbreaker's an axe, so it's always gonna penetrate.
Oh, right.
Duh.
There we go. And there it is. But each weapon has like a different percent chance to disable the speedburst shield to make it a lot more balanced. We also made some changes to velocity, which you use to become an artificial speedster.
There were some concerns that we made velocity a little bit too easy to obtain. So we went back and we started to add a tiering system to the recipes for velocity. Velocity 1 through 3 keep the top right recipe, where you use velocity 1, glowstone dust, and redstone dust alongside blaze powder to upgrade to the next tier. To upgrade to the next tier of velocity, you'll start with like velocity 1. It takes 4 velocity 1s to make 2 velocity 2s, and then you'll use 4 velocity 2s to make 2 velocity 3s. But once you get to velocity 4, it changes the recipe. The center piece changes to a gas tier. It follows that for 4 through 6. However, 7 to 8, it changes the recipe to using Dragon's Breath. So you'll notice the model stays kind of consistent. It just changes out the center ingredient up until velocity 9. But to get from velocity 9 to velocity 10, you'll have to add some stabilizing serum alongside stronger potion effects. The same ones that actually gave you your speedster powers. Once you hit velocity X, that's kind of the peak. That's the final goal. It's the best, purest form. Of course, you'll always want more velocity X, but this entire process is incredibly tedious. We added a recipe where with an enchanted golden apple, 3 awkward potions, and just a simple 1 piece of velocity X, you'll be able to make 4 velocity X serums. So even just 1 piece of velocity X serum is incredibly useful. Different versions of velocity will give you certain drawbacks. So velocity 1 is the most unstable. It'll actually kill you immediately. It's not even safe for usage.
All right, velocity 1 is totally safe, right? Oh. Look, I know velocity 1 is the experimental one, but velocity 2 will be fine. No!
That's what you get for trying to be the fastest, is all I'm saying.
Look, I would never do that in canon, okay? That's not canon.
Velocity 2 through 5 will give you the wither effect 10 for 10 minutes. Velocity 6 through 8 gives you only like a mild poison for a long period of time, so maybe don't stick with that either. Velocity 9 actually has the mildest effects, where it'll only poison you for a brief period of time. And then Velocity X, being the perfected version, actually gives you a bit of a buff, regeneration for a couple seconds, I believe.
Give me the VX. We also have a couple changes for Dead Zone and the power negation. The range on the dagger has been slightly upped, which was at 2, now it's at 2.5. The actual ranged dampen ability also has a bit of a change.
It gives you additional attack damage up to 4 extra damage, each player counting towards 1 additional damage.
I should now have 1 extra damage because I dampened 1 player.
We have one last change. I'm actually going to teleport you there. So previously, Dead Zone's dagger was only able to be found around like a certain coordinate in the world, but you would always know where that is. And it wasn't very thematic either. It was just a dagger in a chest underground. Now we managed to add a downed satellite to the world. Only one of these will spawn per world, and somewhere inside of this structure, you'll end up finding a chest with the power dampening dagger inside of it.
Well done. I know that was like a really tough one to get like working properly, so well done.
How are we gonna get home? I can't imagine how we're getting back.
Using a breach.
Speaking of breaches, we didn't make any changes to Vibeman directly. More so, we tweaked some of the changes with breaches. It used to teleport everyone coming into the breach from any angle to the exact same point, but now I fixed that. So if you come in from this end of the breach, I'll come from like the other end as if I've gone through it. Ta-da.
Very nice.
It's just a little change, but it helps with like projectiles too, going through. I missed. Ah! Who shot me? Ah! Who shot me? Oh, who shot me?
I like how that's how you got 3 in. That's crazy. So now, like, full projectiles go through the portal.
Another change we made with breaches is that, they're really temporary, right? Breaches only last a little bit of time. They don't typically stick around. With these new items we've added, the breach stabilization device and the breach destabilization device, you'll be able to make more persistent breaches throughout the world. If you throw that item in, you'll notice the item won't come out of the other side, and this breach won't despawn at all. It won't close, it'll just stay open. It's very good if you want like permanent waypoints between bases or locations.
Right, absolutely. It's actually extremely helpful.
Interesting.
So now we have 2 stabilized breaches, 1 of each color. Bro, imagine if you can make like an insane trick shot through like 8 portals.
Wait, stand like here. Stand exactly where I'm standing right now.
Yeah.
I want to see if I can do something.
No, no, wait, did that actually just happen? That was crazy. I want to see the world's longest trick shot now. I want to see it go through like 8 portals.
But let's say, your jab, Pideman put a portal in your bathroom and it's permanent. You really hate it and you're very upset.
Yeah, now you make me sound more like a creep.
You are a creep. Why are you teleporting like that?
Well, what you're going to want to end up doing is you're going to want to get one of these breach destabilization devices. Ready? It'll take a moment for them to close. And after they do, gone forever.
We also made one quick change to the redstone mech suit, and that is the actual size that he changes to when shrinking. The problem with it was before it was just way too small. Like before you were like the size of like a pixel, now you're actually visible. So now you can see he's actually completely visible now. He's just way harder to hit, which is obviously what he's supposed to be. That's actually insane. Like his combos are really hard to hit him with.
Oh man, I would like to see a return of his smallest level. So maybe tune into season 3 and see if that comes back.
Another quick change is to Ember Hail, and that is regen on burning. Now Ember Hail gets a regeneration effect when she gets caught on fire. And there we go. Also, her nuclear release now has a sound.
Oh, my leg!
Hey, at least you're regenning.
The best way to describe the changes made to Hexios is I would call it a mini rebalancing. One of the things that we noticed during filming was that Hexios kind of became over-reliant on his force field and it not having a cooldown or any kind of like bar usage. So we did a little bit of rebalancing. To use his force field, you'll actually need to accumulate your soul bar. So if we come over to these dummies here, the knives are the fastest way to build meter. Once you've got enough meter, you can actually start to use your force field. But you'll notice that the force field starts to drain your meter at quite a rapid pace. You could actually combat this by just getting into close quarters, and it'll stave off it lowering even faster, because you will be actually damaging enemies while using the force field. It brings some balancing to Hexios' force field, needing you to balance doing damage and being on the defense, but also not exactly punishing being defensive.
And the other change being his cape.
Majestic.
It does look good. It blends pretty nicely with the both the hood and the actual armor piece. if you guys remember, Thunder Crash has a current gauntlets upgrade, and it allows him to still have flight and have a miniature suit while he's transformed as Thunder Crash. We had a little bit of an issue with the way the flight was working, so we completely changed that, and now it just has a simple hover. It still has the trail, and it still gives you some pretty decent speed, still being very reminiscent of the character he originally was, that being Current. You know, now it's not nearly as annoying to fly, where you would kind of lose flight after a while, and it's also a bit more balanced with the kind of vibranium aspect of it. When turning into Thunder Crash and you need to make, you know, your quick escape, if you have the suit on, you can deactivate the transformation and immediately fly. Yes, you lose all of your abilities because, you know, you need to be actually with Thunder Crash to use the powers, but you still get his old flight, or at least some of the benefits from his old flight. Yeah, he also does now have a few additional hearts, as he should, being a Hulk-based character. When we initially showed that change, we did have a bit of a glitch happen, and I'm going to show that here. It was hilarious. Thunder Crash also now has a completely reworked jump. If you hold the bottom ability and let it charge all the way up, then you jump super high. You also don't even have to charge it the whole way. You can just charge it like part of the way for like some quick hops, which already makes his combat like way better. You do have to be on the ground to charge it, which balances it a bit, but it already makes him way stronger. Just these little hops make it way harder for him to get hit. Just a couple quick rapid fire changes to go over. The REM containment suit now has a glow layer for power nap.
It's based off your sleep energy, basically. So if you take a power nap right now, you'll actually notice that the glow layer comes back. But when you're completely depowered, the glow layer goes away. There you go.
Very nice change. And that's like I didn't even know that that's what you did. That's even cooler than I thought it was. Another thing we added is the hazmat suit. The hazmat suit protects you from the gamma radiation blocks that you can find and mine throughout the world, which obviously kill you very quickly, especially in big groups.
All right, I'm going in.
All right, good luck.
Thank you. Oh God, there's so much here. I gotta take this thing off. I gotta take it off. Oh no.
Hurts. No, I'll get you. No!
If you have lead blocks between you and a gamma radiation block, it'll stop the effect being applied to the player, so it'll be as if you're protected. Oh God. Yeah, you clipped it.
Yeah, I clipped it. No!
Oh, wait,
I clipped it!
It's too late.
No! Please!
It's gonna do another damage tick before it can heal you. No!
You now get nausea from gamma radiation as well, which I felt was pretty appropriate to add. One of the most highly requested things we've gotten since releasing the mod is the ability to remove your powers and switch to something different, which wasn't possible at all in survival until now. So we added 2 new items, the stabilizing serum, which is used to craft the DNA normalizer. So with a water bottle, a milk bucket, a honeycomb, and chorus flower, you can make the stabilizing serum. It's not super easy to get because you do need at least Silk Touch. And here's Hertz taking it while he has super speed. And so the DNA normalizer completely wipes your powers no matter what they are. We also have some new features for the Axe Soldier. The Axe Soldier, who the suit we didn't really go over last time, is going to be a kind of the key grunt of the upcoming season. The Axe Soldier now has 2 weapons, a titanium axe, and it is craftable with titanium. Really, really cool. Slow swing, but high damage.
No, the real test. Come on.
Oh yeah, the real test is always how much it'll do to Tideman.
Oh my God.
Barely doesn't 2-shot Tideman. Speaking of titanium, the thing that you'll notice is we actually did change the ingots to resemble the normal palladium titanium a little bit better. We may still rework the textures down the line, but for now, I thought we would at least do the ingots. The other option of a weapon they have is the Axe Energy Rifle, which is a pretty nice, simple weapon. It has infinite ammo, but it shoots pretty slow.
I mean, put like 20 Axe Soldiers in a line, all firing bullets. It's gonna be pretty strong.
Oh yeah, it is gonna be really strong. And I just want to thank all of you guys for all of your support on this mod. Whether you just watch the videos, you support on Patreon, you help with the skins and or models, you guys have made this mod come to life, and I can't thank you guys enough. Especially you, Hertz, who put in so much time and effort to this mod. It shows in all of your updates, so thank you so much.
I appreciate it, man. And look, I'm excited for what comes next. 'Cause seriously.